y'all. I am Dr. Lakrishia Cook, but you can call me Dr. Lala. Welcome back to another episode of the Revolve podcast where grief and loss are a journey, not a final destination. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. And today, let's start with some honesty, right? I know. Let's start with some honesty. Yeah. So, what if this year you didn't rush to decorate? What if you lit a candle instead? Maybe cried a little bit, took a little time to take some deep breaths, just be present and in the moment? What if that was your rhythm this holiday season, right? And what if that was enough? I know. And so, in this episode, we're not going to chase healing. We're going to be listening to what our rhythms are for this holiday season, right? And so, we're going to talk about what it looks like to grieve mindfully and how our faith helps us to honor those rhythms that we set for ourselves, right? And so, here's the thing: grief doesn't follow a calendar, right? It doesn't meet social expectations. It moves at the pace of our souls. Just being quite honest with you, And so when we say grief has a tempo, we mean that some days they might be slow and heavy, and other days they might be light. And truthfully, time just gets away from us, right? And scripture tells us in Ecclesiastes 3, verses 1 through 4, that there is a time for everything, a time to mourn and a time to dance. And so, how do we stay present in that tempo, right? How do we do that? And how do we use mindfulness? So, first, let's talk about what mindfulness is. That's an opportunity to be fully present and in the moment. It's when we're aware of our thoughts, we're aware of our emotions, and a lot of times it's even the physical sensations that you may be having, and we're doing those things without judgment. Yeah. Let's just sit with that for just a second, right? Because how often do we judge ourselves as we're on this journey to healing after having loved and lost someone? Or loved and lost something, right? And so it's about noticing what's happening inside of our bodies and what's going on around us with curiosity instead of just automatically reacting to it and trying to fix it. Because a lot of times we jump straight to trying to fix the thing instead of really identifying what the thing is. And so we want to take a moment to be present and slow down and pay attention to what we have going on right then in the moment. Not what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow, but what's going on right now in this moment, right? Being aware helps us to observe our thoughts and our emotions and our bodies and the sensations that we may be having, right? And again, we're not going to judge ourselves for feeling how we feel. Right. We're not going to judge ourselves for feeling how we feel. Right. And we're not going to label them. We're not going to give them labels like this one is good, this one is bad. Nope. It's just what it is. Right. And we learn to accept them as a part of our human experience. We're going to have highs and lows. It's just a part of being human. It's a part of living life, right? It's just a part of it. And so, according to research, practicing mindfulness is actually really good for us because it reduces stress and anxiety by calming our nervous systems, right? It helps us to improve our emotion regulation so that we can name whatever that thing is and be able to sit with difficult feelings and being able to process through them. It supports our healing journey by giving us space for grief, right? Without trying to rush ourselves through the process or trying to suppress it and act as though it's not there, right? And then also it gives us an opportunity to enhance our spiritual connection, our relationship with the Father, by creating a space and an opportunity for us to just be still, where we have an opportunity to pray and reflect, right? Because here's the thing, grief lives in the body. Yeah. And it eventually shows up in our bodies. Our bodies keep the score. They remember every single thing that's happened. The good, the bad, and the indifferent. Our bodies remember, and mindfulness helps us to notice where it's showing up, whether it's we're having some issues with chest tightness, or maybe our thoughts are racing. We might be a little bit short of breath. You know, sometimes we have tears when we least expect it, right? And being able to notice these things doesn't necessarily mean that we want to jump right into fixing it, right? We want to take time to give ourselves the opportunity to feel how we feel and honor that moment instead of trying to rush through it. Here's the thing. Just because we rush through the thing doesn't mean that we're over the thing. I know, but it doesn't, right? It might make us feel better in the moment, but eventually it's coming back, right? So once we begin to notice it, we can begin to shape new rhythms. We can shape rhythms that hold space for us to have sorrow and love, because both of those things can and do exist, right? And so when we're talking about rhythms, we're talking about our spiritual disciplines here, right? And in this particular context, we're talking about prayer, rest, worship, and reflection. Because when we're grieving, those rhythms become crucial to our healing process. And they help us stay connected to God and to our loved ones and even to ourselves, right? And why is that important? Because when we're grieving, so many times we feel as though maybe God forgot about us. We feel as though we're all alone, right? We feel as though we have to keep our feelings to ourselves because how I feel is going to affect how the people that I love feel, right? And then even the connection to ourselves, because so many times when we're grieving, we get lost in that grief. And honestly, we have to build that new version. We have to get accustomed to that new normal. Who am I now that I've lost my mom, my dad, a sibling, my child, my husband, my wife? So who am I now? You know? So we spend time being mindful to help us identify those things, right? It can also be things where we're doing things so that our loved ones remain a part of us and present in our families, even though they're not here in the natural with us anymore. And that's okay. There are things that you can do to help you remember your loved ones, right? And they don't have to be really big things. You know, and there are so many little things you can do to honor your loved ones throughout the year. We don't have to wait just till the holidays to celebrate the people we love, right? Back in October, we celebrated Infant and Child Loss Awareness Day. It's the same day every year we light a candle in memory of our little ones. who are no longer here with us. And so we do that in memory of them, and it's something that's recognized across the world. It's something that we do. So that's a little thing that you can do at home for your own loved ones, right? You can write a letter to them, because there are times when I just wish I could talk to my mom. There have been times when I just wish I could tell Daddy, And so even though I can't literally talk to them, I could take time to write those thoughts down. I can give myself an opportunity to have that outlet, Even sharing stories, There are so many ways to honor our loved ones. And all of these things can play a role in your healing process, right? These are little things that can give you joy throughout the year, not just the holiday season, but throughout the year. We're just talking about it now because usually the holiday season is when it's most poignant, right? Because you're thinking about all the things you normally do for Christmas. One of the things I used to do for my daddy was I would always shop for Mommy for him. He'd give me a budget or not. And he would tell me what he had in mind. And then I would go shop. That's what I would do. And I would call him on the phone and say, Daddy, I found such and such. Let me show it to you. I'm about to text you. And so these are little things, memories that I have that I think about, and they bring a smile to my face, right? Or even I'll never forget the first time after Mommy and Daddy's accident that Mommy helped make Christmas dinner. Yeah, we had Christmas at my house, and Mommy actually helped cook. And that was a big deal to her because she really didn't have the energy and the strength to cook a holiday meal after, the accident. Because all of you who cook, you know how much of a task cooking the holiday meal is, right? This is something that can literally take days, depending on how big your family is and what all you're cooking, right? And so she got to help me with that. And that is one of my precious memories, is because she was so proud of herself. She was standing in the kitchen by herself at the counter, and she was so proud. But that's a holiday memory for me. And it's something that I get to share. And even I'm talking about it now, I'm getting a little bit emotional, And it's not necessarily that I'm sad, per se. It's just a little bit nostalgic because I know she's not here. She's not going to be here this year, And sometimes the most sacred rhythm that we can have in the holiday season, you want to guess what it is? Rest. Yep. Rest. Right? Because so often we feel as though needing rest is synonymous with laziness, right? And that's just simply not true. We need rest. Yeah. And honestly, I believe even culturally, we need to get back to rest being a sacred part of our day, a part that we don't put to the side. Right? And in our faith, stillness is surrender, right? Psalms 46:10 encourages us to be still and know that I am God. Yeah, be still. When we rest, we're saying that when we rest, we're saying that my worth is not in my productivity. And my healing is not based on my performance, right? It's not. So let's look at what rest does for our nervous systems and then why it's a necessary act of self-care, right? Because our nervous systems need to be able to recover. And when we get adequate rest, it helps us to regulate emotional overwhelm. Yeah, and that's really important because a lot of times when we're exhausted, we have a more difficult time managing our emotions. Who's ever been tired and something that doesn't normally bother you aggravated the living daylights out of you? And you recognized it. It was like, this doesn't normally bother me, but this is running me low today, right? It is true. It's because we need rest, right? And it's okay to pause. It's okay to slow down. That's not the same as quitting. That's giving yourself the necessary care. Because rest is necessary. And stillness is a spiritual practice, right? Stillness, where we can surrender and we can be in the presence of the Father so that we can recharge emotionally, mentally, spiritually, taking that time to pray and reflect and to journal, right? All of those things are necessary sometimes. Give yourself that gift, the gift of rest, right? And so if you're choosing to slow down a little bit this season, to spend a little bit more time in the quiet, you're not failing. You're not. Rest is healing too, right? And that's showing yourself faithfulness. That's keeping the obligation to yourself to heal and be the best version of yourself that you can be. And I promise you, the best version of yourself includes a well-rested version of yourself, right? And that version also welcomes therapy. Therapy can be part of the rhythm in your grief journey, right? Because it gives us a safe space to name our emotions that we might otherwise not have a space to share them, right? It gives us tools for emotional regulation when our nervous systems feel overwhelmed, right? Sometimes it can even help us untangle guilt and anger and confusion that often comes to the surface during the holidays, right? And like I always say, therapy isn't a replacement for our faith as believers. It's not. It's a complement. You know, I like to say our faith and therapy are best friends. They are besties, right? And they work better together. Just like prayer strengthens our spirit, therapy strengthens our mind and body, right? And when we do them together, something amazing happens where we're able to create rhythms of healing that honor our humanity and our faith. Because listen, you giving yourself the space and grace to feel how you feel, to grieve, to process, to seek professional counsel does not make you less faithful, right? It doesn't. Remember, therapy can be a part of your rhythm. As a matter of fact, I encourage it. It's a way of saying that I'm not alone on this journey. Your therapist is a companion, right? Someone to walk along this journey with you and to hold your hand. And like I always say, there are options out here for therapists who are believers, right? So you have options for folks who also have the same values and belief systems that you do. So don't let that be a deterrent. It's okay to have Jesus and a therapist. Again, I encourage it, right? So, again, it's okay to dance to the beat of your own drum. It's okay to have your own rhythm. Some days they might be slow, and some days they might be fast, right? And you're allowed to do what feels good in the moment, right? You're getting in tune with your healing. You don't have to match the world's tempo, okay? You just have to honor your own. And that's how we continue on this healing journey, okay? So go get your drum. And so until next time, keep choosing healing. Keep choosing joy. I love y'all. Bye.